Join the conversation and buy a ticket to our annual dinner to support our work. At Breakthrough Ideas, we're unafraid to expose the lies and corruption of the ruling class in Illinois. We're here to inform voters and protect liberty. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com. Click on the events page to buy a ticket today. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Well, thanks for joining me this Sunday night. We are broadcasting here from safety in Elk Grove Village. You know who's not safe? Oh, the Iranian people, and Khamenei especially. They've taken out all his top leadership. Now they've pretty much bombed to hell a huge mountain, which they think they got some of the nuclear. Hopefully, they got some of the nuclear equipment that they were using to enrich their uranium for a nuclear weapon, but we don't know that. We don't know what the battle damage assessment looks. All we know is that some giant, the biggest bombs around, dropped in Iran, and it was a glorious thing, and it's about time, and it's a good thing that President Trump did this. I actually think it was a great move. It showed real leadership, and the best thing about it was completely done in secret. This is Jennifer Griffin speaking on Fox News with Brett Baer. Listen to this.
This is an operation in the last 18 years since I've been at the Pentagon. I've never seen such operational security. There was nobody speaking about this, any of the preparations. There was a complete lockdown, almost a blackout of information for the last few days. I'm sitting here in the Pentagon right now. I can tell you the hallways are empty, and all of the information is coming right now out of the White House. That is a significant achievement because there were no leaks about the timing.
Yeah, so and apparently they did brief some of the Republicans that are on the Intel Committee, but not the Democrats. And I guess Adam Schiff is very upset about that. He felt like he should have been briefed. Well, listen, this is the guy who's leaked a number of other, terrible things to the press, including the Russian collusion stuff. So there's no way that he should have been informed. Boy, if you can't trust your own representatives, then you know what? Who is on whose side? Well, we know what side the Democrats are on, and it's certainly the side of the Iranians. You have a number of them now saying that what Trump did is an impeachable offense. There's Sean Casten. These are his tweets. This is not about the merits of Iran's nuclear program. No president has the authority to bomb another country that does not pose an imminent threat to the U.S. without approval of Congress. Oh, really? Oh, really, Sean Casten? Like this has never been seen before? Oh, what about Bill Clinton during the Kosovo bombings? Jonathan Turley writes about this. The Claude Rains School of Constitutional Law. Democrats denounce Iranian attacks as unconstitutional. And he goes into great deal laying out the arguments about why there was no problem with what Trump did. And in fact, it's something that presidents have done for a very long time. He writes, in 2011, Obama approved a massive military campaign against Libya. He says, I represented a bipartisan group of members of Congress challenging that action. We have long criticized the abandonment of the clear language in the Constitution on the declaration of wars. Only 11 such declarations have been made in our history, and that has not happened since World War II in 1942. Over 120 military campaigns have spanned from Korea to Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq. It is not a rule honored solely in the breach. Democrats were supportive when Clinton launched cruise missile attacks under Operation Infinite Reach on 2 continents on August 20, 1998. He ordered attacks in locations in Khartoum, Sudan, and coast province of Afghanistan. He goes on to say, though, presidents have routinely ignored the WPA when it limited their ability to conduct foreign military operations. In 1999, Clinton ignored the 60-day deadline and continued to bomb forces in Kosovo. His actions were also challenged, but the court in Campbell v. Clinton just shrugged off the violation and said it was a justiciable political question. So there you go, Sean Casten. It's not an impeachable offense. Chuck Schumer. None of these Democrats. And by the way, it's kind of interesting. You've got Raja Krishnamurthy, who intends to run for U.S. Senate. And he has not weighed in on this one bit, one way or the other. I guess he's trying to read the tea leaves, maybe figure out what the polls say, kind of put his finger in the air and see which way the winds are blowing on this particular topic. He hasn't weighed in on the biggest dropping of bombs on a foreign adversary in recent history. And there's Raja sitting on the fence, waiting to find out what is politically the correct thing to say and do so he can get elected to the U.S. Senate. Well, that's not leadership either. But that's what we do have here. We've got a bunch of people who aren't. And of course, you've got your AOCs who are calling for it to be an impeachable offense, too. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Chuy Garcia, Trump is trying to drag us into an illegal war with Iran. No debate, no congressional vote. And of course, you've got our own governor, Pritzker. He didn't know what to do. So he says, he's all concerned about retaliation. At my request, federal authorities and local law enforcement have kept me updated on any potential physical and cyber threats to the homeland that could affect Illinois. We will remain vigilant and publicly communicate if there are related incidents or concerns. That was his one tweet. Before that tweet, he said, following the escalation in Iran, I'm keeping a close eye in consultation with federal authorities and the Illinois State Police. There are no known threats to our state at this time. I'll continue to receive briefings as we remain vigilant to ensure the safety of Illinoisans. Well, Governor Pritzker, it would have behooved you to explain why you think that there might be a threat in the state of Illinois at this time. Why? Anybody? Why do we think that there might be the threat of terrorism in our state? Oh, I think Mario Bartiromo hit it on the nail on the head when it comes to the answering that question with Tom Homan. Take a listen.
Can you assess that issue particularly? How many Iranians are in the country that are in sleeper cells trying to do bad to America right now?
Well, look, you and I have talked about this many times. I said the last 4 years, my biggest concern was this open border was the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. So I pulled numbers this morning just from a CBP under Joe Biden. There was 1,272 nationals of Iran released in the country between OFO and the Border Patrol. And you compare that to the Trump administration, zero. Right, zero releases. And right now, because of President Trump's leadership, we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border in the history of this nation. So we have a secure border. That was President Trump's big win on securing this nation. So we're not releasing people in this country. Special interest aliens aren't crossing that border undetected. But under Joe Biden, we had over 10 million people cross that border. But my biggest concern from day one, beyond the fentanyl, beyond the sex trafficking women and children, were the 2 million known gotaways. Over 2 million people crossed that border. We don't know who they are, where they came from, because they got away, because Border Patrol is so overwhelmed with the humanitarian crisis that Biden created that over 2 million people crossed the border and got away. That is my biggest concern, and that's what created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen.
And that's the truth, Governor Pritzker, is because you and your Democrats just let whoever waltz through our open border. That's why. And you're right. We have a right to be concerned about terrorist sleeper cells in Illinois. Absolutely. But it'd be nice if you figured out and pointed to what the cause of that is. And it's your policies, the ones that you defended in Congress less than 2 weeks ago. It's your Democrat policies, your Democrat values that have made us less safe, Governor Pritzker. Anyway, we'll have much more on this discussion with Charles Lipson, Professor Emeritus at the University of Chicago. Right after this break, we're going to dig into the Iranian situation. And by the way, he predicted exactly what happened on Saturday night. He predicted what would happen on this show back in May 5th. So we'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Mike Gallagher reflects on the past decade.
10 years ago this week, Donald Trump came down the golden escalator. And for a decade now, we have seen the political landscape, the cultural landscape, we've seen it all upended. It's been completely upended by this man. He's changed everything. and it's a big deal.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Imagine using your skills and experiences to inspire young minds. We see the teacher in you. No matter your starting point, we can help you become a teacher. Teaching offers consistent pay, a pension, and summers off. Learn how you can be the teacher. Visit BeTheTeacher.org. Sponsored by Grow Your Own Teachers, Illinois.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome back. You're here with Jeannie Ives. We're on AM 560, and we've been talking about the entire Trump issue. And with me, the Trump-Iranian bombing. Sorry, getting my head about me here. But to talk more about that, we have got Charles Lipson on the line. He is, of course, professor emeritus from the University of Chicago, and his specialty actually is international relations. So we're thrilled to have Charles with us tonight to discuss this important topic. And Charles, you came on my show, I believe it was the May 4th, May 5th timeframe, and we had talked about Iran, and we were giving Trump a grade. That was about his 100-day mark. And, it was the one area of foreign policy where he had an incomplete, I think is what you gave him. Right. And so now looking at it, I mean, he seems to be ticking off quite a few big things, and this being by far the biggest. What's your impression of the entire operation? Do you think it was prudent, and what do you think will come out of it?
It was prudent, and it was a very impressive operation. Really, it dovetailed with what the Israelis had done. Iran has been attacking the United States for more than 4 decades. It's killed hundreds, maybe thousands of Americans. There's no question, but they're a dangerous regime, and if they had a nuclear weapon, it would not only be dangerous in their hands, it would almost certainly lead to proliferation when the Saudis, the Emiratis, and others in the region decided that they needed to have nuclear weapons to deter Iran. But it would be particularly dangerous to Israel if Iran, if the Ayatollahs in this theocratic regime felt like their government was about to fall, and like the Nazis who ginned up Auschwitz and other killing camps as they were losing the war to the Soviet Union. They had been killing Jews earlier, but they really increased it as they were losing. There's a chance that the Ayatollahs would just decide now's the time we're going to destroy Tel Aviv and Haifa. They might not destroy Jerusalem because there were Islamic sites there, but they're a very dangerous regime. Mm-hmm. The question is now, really, did we get everything?
That is the question, and I mean that's only people can speculate unless there's physical inspections. We'll not know.
I think that's right. And we won't know right away whether they have moved some of the fissile material to other locations. Their government has been very thoroughly penetrated, especially by the Israelis, but also by the Americans and other allied intelligence agencies. So we might learn in other ways. But I think the biggest risk now comes from possibility that they would use sleeper cells in the United States. Apparently, they warned President Trump of exactly that at the summit meeting that occurred a week or so ago when he left early. He had apparently received that information that the Iranians were warning him. Other people who said that he cut off the negotiations too soon, I don't think that's right, because I think that when the Iranians said they wouldn't even talk unless Israel first stopped any military action against them, that was their way of saying buzz off.
Yes. Well, I just played a clip before you came on. It was Tom Homan with Maria Bartiromo essentially saying, look, they know that they have 1,272 Iranian gotaways that crossed over the border. They know that they were released into the United States. And so the terror cell thing is a little bit frightening. I also know that I'm getting some reports from people that are also in the know, Sargis, mainly Sangari, who runs the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement. And he says that there was a lot of activity at Fordo before the strike, so maybe some of the items were removed before the strike. And so that could be the case. It's also true, apparently, that this went out last night. If anyone has clients or family in Israel, the U.S. State Department has an online form to request evacuation assistance immediately. In addition, Israeli citizens were told effective immediately that they basically are required to only conduct necessary activity only. So this means all schools, education institutions are closed, public gatherings are banned, workplaces may only operate if deemed essential. So they have to strictly follow this updated home front command guidelines. I mean, we're sitting here comfortable in our air-conditioned homes in the heat. Should we be uncomfortable?
We shouldn't be uncomfortable, but we should be wary, and we should be especially wary because of the absolute criminal incompetence of the Biden administration letting all these people in, having an open border, and then once they find somebody is from Iran, not giving them the thorough vetting that we need. Some may have been trying to escape a horrible regime, but some may have been very bad actors indeed. And there are some 2 million people who got into the country during the Biden years who are called gotaways. We never saw them at all. They weren't inspected at all. It's just it's inexplicable to me why they actually did it, but what they did is just unconscionable. I want to say one thing about the Israelis going back into their bomb shelters tomorrow and staying out, not going to work and all the rest. There are a lot of people who are going back to Israel to be there with their families and others during this time. So I think it's very impressive. And it's a country that's 1/10 the population, probably smaller than that in terms of the size of Iran, and it has just whooped its ass.
It sure has. Boy, when the Israelis go after something, they mean it, which is great. And it appears to me that at this point, would you say that Iran seems a little bit isolated, a little bit alone? This post from a Dr. Eli David. Putin was asked why he's not assisting Iran. His response: Israel today is almost a Russian-speaking country. 2 million people from the Soviet Union and Russia live there. We take that into account. I don't know what that means. What's your interpretation?
Well, you're certainly right. Nobody has come to Iran's aid. There were some sort of mealy-mouth, oh, this is bad, the American attacks from some of the Gulf states. That was what they were saying publicly, maybe for their domestic audience. Behind the scenes, they were delighted. The main allies would be Russia and China, and neither has come to the aid of Iran. But I suspect that China is putting tremendous pressure on the regime in Iran not to block the Straits of Hormuz, because that's the only people that the Iranians are selling oil to. There's a lot of other oil that comes from the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia that comes through the Straits, and it's quite possible we could quickly clear it if it were blocked. But China doesn't want to see that because they're a major recipient of that oil. By the way, the main point here is that you're in the process of seeing a reformulation of the entire Middle East. That will really depend upon either much more weakening of the Iranian regime or its outright overthrow. And it will be easier to overthrow them if the Israelis can take out more of the domestic repression regime that Iran has in the IRGC and the Quds Force and so forth.
Well, it's sort of interesting. The Nimitz got pushed from basically where they were in the South China Seas. And by the way, my son's attached to the Nimitz right now. He's a C2 pilot.
Really?
Yes. So, I mean, honestly, they've known that they were headed that way for a few weeks. So, I think that other people kind of understood what was going on here. But so they're moving over there. The Nimitz, actually, it's getting ready to be mothballed. So is my son's plane, the C2. But it's going back to it's the center where it was actually first met any action to begin with as a brand new change agent or a brand new Air Force. Aircraft carrier. I cannot talk tonight. And, that was back when they were going to rescue the hostages. And, of course, that rescue attempt failed. And now they're right back here at the end of its lifespan, looking back at the Iranian Sea. What does this say about our military and our capabilities, by the way?
Boy, there's just nothing like them.
Yes, I agree.
And Hegseth has sort of ended the recruiting fall-off that occurred under Biden. People are enthused and patriotic and want to enter the military. If Iran is much better contained, then the U.S. really can shift a lot of its attention to Asia. And I think that Trump's willingness to act and act decisively is a major boost to Taiwan.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. What does it say to the Russians with the Ukrainian-Russian war still ongoing?
Well, the first thing it says is that they're not going to be getting a lot of Shahed drones out of Iran, which have been a major part. It means that Russia is by itself. It's clear Trump doesn't like supplying the Ukrainians. I differ from maybe many in the MAGA coalition. I think it's in our interest to stop Russia in Ukraine. I think that we should arm them. I think we should pay close attention to make sure our money's not stolen and that the corruption in Ukraine, which is a serious problem, doesn't get out of hand. But we have to, I think, stop Russia here, or we face greater problems with Russia in the future. Again, Biden was a problem. If we'd given Ukraine enough weapons and ammunition earlier, they could have done a lot more. Biden's only goal was to prevent a loss. Well, we don't know whose goal it was because we don't know who was running that administration.
Well, we certainly know who's running this administration. Before I let you go here, what's your prediction? What is going to be the next move that Iran makes, and what is the next move that Trump makes, and how do you foresee this coming to a close?
I think Iran will continue to attack Israel. I think they would be very foolish either to block the Straits of Hormuz or to attack American forces. I think they'll try to do things behind the scenes, which they've been doing for years. But it's also true that their surrogates have not been able to act. There have been no missiles coming in from Hezbollah. There was one, I think, that came in from the Houthis. If Iran is taken out, you're going to see, first of all, we don't know whether there'll be regime change there. Regimes change the way that glass tree that's bent and bent and bent, and you can tell it's about to fail.
Okay, we've got to leave it right there. Charles is Professor Emeritus, University of Chicago. He writes regularly for The Spectator magazine, Real Clear Politics, and others. His columns are available for free at charleslipson.com.
Charlie Kirk sees a big decision for the president.
Israel has done a lot of work in Iran. They have bombed a lot of targets, but there are some nuclear facilities hidden within a mountain. It is within a deep, deep bunker. President Donald Trump has to make a very important decision. Does the United States get involved kinetically against Iran?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fox News, I'm Paul Stevens. More details now about U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear sites on Saturday. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Dan Kane.
At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordow.
Democrats not happy.
Now you're going to force Iran to go covertly in developing this nuclear material. Now you've put American troops at risk. Now you're wasting billions of our dollars because we're sending more troops to the Middle East. What did you accomplish, and why are you oblivious to the American people who are sick of these wars?
California Congressman Ro Khanna on CBS's Face the Nation. America's listening to Fox News.
Where's America 60 years after the Civil Rights Act? Has equality of opportunity become a race hustle instead? As the culture wars play out in our schools, has the civil rights battleground shifted? In Illinois, inherently racist programs, scholarships, and comments are being challenged for violating the Civil Rights Act. How do we get to a post-racial America? Breakthrough Ideas is bringing great Americans together to help answer those questions. Join C.L. Bryant, award-winning filmmaker of Runaway Slave and Trump Advisory Board member, Black and White radio host John Anthony, and rooftop pastor Corey Brooks, founder of Project Hood, on Thursday, June 26th for the Breakthrough Ideas annual dinner. Join the conversation and buy a ticket to our annual dinner to support our work. At Breakthrough Ideas, we're unafraid to expose the lies and corruption of the ruling class in Illinois. We're here to inform voters and protect liberty. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com. Click on the events page to buy a ticket today. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donnelly Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donnelly Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonnellyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donnelly does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donnelly has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donnelly Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donnelly Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonnellyAuctions.com.
Your business is under attack 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a fact. Small businesses are the low-hanging fruit. You may think you're protected, but you're vulnerable in many ways, and cyber attackers actively prey on small businesses. But Turnkey can protect you. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. Turnkey has a quick and efficient 12-point evaluation to determine if your business, your profits, are at risk. And right now, for a limited time, Turnkey is offering the first month of service to all new customers free. Peace of mind, free. It includes all Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, and completed data backup both on-site and off-site, plus help desk support. Don't leave you, your employees, and your customers vulnerable. Talk to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro. 3 decades of experience. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, the champion of small business.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining me this Sunday night. The phone number here, 312-642-5600 if you want to weigh in on the conversation. You know what? I can't let this pass without this is cast in on him not being informed. I just have to play this before we get our next guest on.
Congress was left in the dark on this. It is not at all clear that there was an imminent threat to the United States. But if what happened was Netanyahu just played Trump like a fine violin, that would be consistent with the sequence we've seen. And I'm not saying I know that. I'm saying that if we as Congress don't say we need to get to the bottom of what happened, why did this happen, what was the sequence, was there an imminent threat, and those of us who are not 79 years old, like the president is, are going to potentially be left cleaning up a massive mess from destabilizing the Middle East.
Oh my gosh. Oh, he's 79 years old and we're cleaning up a massive mess from destabilization in the Mideast. Are you freaking kidding me?
I think
Sean Casten?
That clip goes perfectly with the Jennifer Griffin clip from earlier, because you just play, why wasn't Congress uninformed? And or why wasn't Congress informed? And then you play the Jennifer Griffin clip saying, yeah, they had completion operational security. If they inform Congress, then it goes out. It gets leaked.
I tell you, we are represented by the biggest buffoons, and he is one of the biggest. Well, here to discuss that and much, much more is my next guest. You know her as the former gubernatorial lieutenant governor candidate, Stephanie Trussell. Welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be on with you. But you can laugh, Jeannie. I'm crying. That is my representative. I'm hanging my head in shame. It's so sad to be in his district, and it's unbelievable that he could come out and make a statement like that.
I know that's his response to like Trump not telling those guys that what he's doing and then not asking permission ahead of time. Like this guy, I don't know. I don't know why voters vote for these Democrats here, from massive budgets to radical cultural issues. I mean, they are so out of touch with where the majority of Americans are. What is going on, Stephanie?
And suddenly 79 is so old. I remember just a few months ago when they were trying to convince us that Joe Biden was spry. He was a spry, alert, however old he is. So suddenly 79 is unacceptable age to be president. They are relying on us to have short memories, or I don't know what the plan is, but we know we're praying for our president. We're praying for our country. We're praying for the action that he took yesterday.
Yes.
And he's got a tough job, and we need to support him. People coming out immediately, these representatives bashing him, dragging him, this isn't going to help our country at all. We need to be praying that this was the best move for our country, and whatever retaliation will be minimum, and we needed to do what needed to be done. And I'm sure, I know you were gripped by the fact that Trump was, we love you guy, how he ended that speech. Just very moving. Something's happening with Trump as far as him and what's motivating him, what's driving him, and you can see it in real time.
Yeah, no doubt. So, so Casten's really a product of Illinois politics. These are gerrymandered districts that he got pushed into. These are Democrats that have all the money to run and do whatever they want. We find that same thing at the state level. But I think that you're going to make a big announcement here, aren't you?
Well, I believe it's the worst kept secret since about January when I went on this path. But it gives me so much pleasure to do it on your show, Jeannie, because I spent 7 years on the radio afraid to speak in person. And when I got a job with you, you would throw me the mic, you would give me an opportunity to speak in public, and I had never done that. So with your confidence, and you are one of my role models when it came to going down to Springfield and speaking up for this great state. So it gives me so much pleasure to announce on your show my candidacy for state rep in the Illinois 42nd District.
Wow, I am thrilled because that was my district number when I first started as an Illinois state rep. It was District 42. The boundaries always shift, of course, a little bit, but you're now in District 42. And so that's essentially a Lombard, Glen Ellen, Lisle area. And I look forward to supporting your candidacy.
Well, I went on this journey. I felt like I was called. I had to announce. I had to run against Tara Costa Howard. She seems emboldened by the fact that no one ran against her last time. And the final straw for me was the attack on homeschoolers. I know from traveling the state, 102 counties as the candidate for lieutenant governor, I've been hugged on and prayed over by homeschoolers. And mom and papa, their homeschoolers, just want to be left alone. They pay their property taxes. They pour classical education into their children along with their values, and they just want to be left alone. While our government schools are failing our kids and we're spending more and more money in these government schools, I can't understand her motivation to go after the one group that's getting it right. And since I've been on this journey, I've been going to so many homeschool events. And I was at a picnic in LaGrange by Americans for Prosperity on Thursday, and Black and brown families, which is the largest growing group of homeschoolers. And this Black woman said to me, she said, everything was fine when white people were homeschooling. Suddenly blacks are homeschooling and they're coming after us. And it gave me goosebumps. I hadn't even thought about it. And that's a woman who's been homeschooling for 19 years. And these homeschoolers in Chicago, where we know where they're disproportionately failing Black and brown families. And these families have taken the path that we want to educate our kids. And they understand that there was a victory, all the witness slips, all the praying, all the work that went into this bill not passing in this last season. But they know they're going to come back because this wasn't the first time they attacked homeschoolers.
Well, listen, Stephanie, there's plenty of ammunition out there about Tara Costa Howard's record. She's been terrible, again, like on every issue, from tax increases to her own pay hikes to bloated government budgets to trying to basically tamp down on free speech, putting a free speech zone around her schools. I mean, there's like a myriad of really terrible policy decisions that she's been a part of that, there's going to be a lot of folks that need to be woken up about a record. And once they are, I think that we're going to see a change in that district. And so the homeschoolers can certainly be a big part of that. And in fact, I would say to the homeschoolers, look, we understand that's great. You guys got involved when the issue matters to you, but we need you to be involved in a lot of the issues that matter to a lot of folks, whether you're a business person, whether you're just even a public school teacher, because Tara Costa Howard locked down your schools. She's been, a union, a lover of teacher unions for a long time. They've supported her races, and that has not created the best environment for your kids to learn in as they lessen standards and add more mandates at the local level. She's been terrible about property taxes, you name it. She's done nothing to help the average person in her district. So it's going to be great to get better representation in there. And so I really look forward to supporting your race.
Well, my website is Trussell for FORIllinois.com. My first appearance as a candidate in public. I'm so excited about this because I've walked in this parade. I've been a Cub Scout mom in Lisle, walking down Main Street with my community. So I'm hoping that people listening to me, and I'll be sharing it on social media, will show up at the junior high in Lisle at 5207 Center Avenue on 4th of July morning. Get there by 9:30. Line up, and let's show Tara Costa Howard that we will not remain silent, and we're going to do whatever we can to flip the 42nd. We have to crush her. We have to make an example out of these representatives that are going down, voting for all these bills, increasing taxes on. They always talk about the rich, making the rich pay their fair share, but everything they introduce is about making the average hardworking person pay a little bit more, and we have to do something about that. I was raised in Catholic schools. The nuns taught me that 78 Democrats and 48 Republicans is an improper number. That's an improper fraction. We need to make sure there's 78 people in the great state of Illinois that are willing to challenge these state reps to make sure that every state rep has a candidate against them in the general election. If we can only flip 20 seats, Jeannie, that's not a lot. We can be back at the negotiation table because they have super duper majority.
Absolutely. Okay, she's Stephanie Trussell. You heard her website, and we'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
a construction company. But who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
Does your garage floor look bad, cracked, or stained from Chicago's brutal winters? Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty, gross, to showroom shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, gleaming permanent solution. Guaranteed to never crack or chip. Mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage all summer long. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. One day and they're gone. They'll even help move your stuff out of your garage. Schedule your free quote today and mention Amy to receive $500 off. Just visit level10coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. And thanks to my producer, George. I've kind of had him scrambling today. Can you cut this commercial? Can you add this? I need that Sean Caston clip. He's been doing a great job getting me everything at the last minute. I really appreciate you, George. And I love it when you weigh in. Because, it's just me here talking to myself, unless I have a guest, which I do. I still have another guest. And joining me right now is Laurie Higgins. She is the cultural and education writer for Breakthrough Ideas. And I wanted her in because we need to talk about this SCOTUS case, the one that dealt with Tennessee, and it upheld the Tennessee ban on transgender procedures for minors. They can continue to ban that in Tennessee, and that is a very, very good thing. We're thrilled about it, and we reached out to Alliance Defending Freedom attorney too for a interview. We were not able to get it, but they did, at least not yet. They're still reviewing it. They say that this is. We did not receive any super high level analysis today on future implications for this case. In fact, we learned that we are indeed still trying to process how this decision plays into sports and women's private spaces, since the opinion didn't provide definitive answers on those areas, which I'm sure is at the heart of what I wanted. Actually, it was definitely, I wanted to know what is the impact here. But it definitely we do know that Tennessee children, they wrote, will be spared from irreparable harm. But even more profound is the fact that so will children in 26 other states where similar state laws have been enacted. So that is very, very good news. But of course, what does that mean for Illinoisans? It means that we will once again, just like we are a haven for abortion following the Dobbs decision, it is more than likely we will become the haven for those the protected for the parents who want to trans their children, and that's just a sad, sad place. Anyway, Laurie Higgins joins me now to weigh in on all this. Laurie, thanks for joining me on this program.
Thanks for having me, Jeannie.
So what is you wrote a lengthy article. People can read it at breakthrough-ideas.com. Look under our read part. Look at I believe it's still the top article on our front page. What does this mean to you? What do you pull from this decision?
Oh, gosh, a lot. And it's really, really good news because I've been fighting for these kinds of laws for years now. And this brings forth a lot of things. I focused in my article on one of the attorneys for the ACLU arguing against the Tennessee law. She identifies as a man. Her name is Chase Strangio. And what's really interesting about her, some of the things that she said, one was that Justice Alito got her to admit that it does not reduce the incidence of suicide when kids are trans, when they are given puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and surgeries. Alito really pushed her on the issue, and she danced around it, trying to say, well, these things will reduce depression, anxiety, and suicidality, which are indicators of potential suicide. But he knew the stats on this, and he referenced the Cass report, which came out in the United Kingdom, which said there's no research proving that this reduces actual suicides. And what this reveals is how that threat has been used against parents to convince them to trans their children. They have been terrifying parents for years, saying you can choose between a trans child and a dead one. And that is actually false. And interestingly,
well, that's what Chloe Cole testified to as well, said that her parents were given that similar decision because she tries not to blame her parents, but she says this was the choice put to them. And there's so much regret in what Chloe went through.
And she's one of the brave and early people who came forward. But now if people go online, they'll see all sorts of stories. Of course, many of them, perhaps most of them, are the young girls who in adolescence were on social media and suddenly, never having identified as male in their early childhood, suddenly during adolescence, after being on social media, developed what has been called rapid onset gender dysphoria. And these girls are now, they've had their double mastectomies as young as 13, 14, 15 years old, and now they're approaching 19, 20, 21, thinking about having children or married, and they'll never be able to breastfeed. They're, have scarred chests. And these girls are telling their horror stories, and many of them will say, and those of us who've been watching this issue know that the medical community has been using this sentence for years. If you get it to choose parents between a trans child of the going to become the sex they are not, and a dead child. And now you have another problem, which is parents are going to be really incentivized to cling to their belief because otherwise they have to face that they were complicit in what has happened to their own children. So this is a huge, one of the major good things that came out of this is that the Supreme Court said gender identity is not a suspect classification. Attorneys can address this better than I can, but it means now that when people are going to challenge laws like the Tennessee law, it's going to be much easier for the states to defend their laws if gender identity is not included as a suspect classification. I want to point out that here in Illinois, in the Illinois Human Rights Act, there still is an exemption that says this: nothing in this article shall apply to any facility which is distinctly private in nature, such as restrooms and shower rooms. That is in our law now. We have Governor Pritzker to thank for what's been going on in our schools. As soon as he took office, he formed a task force of pro-trans leftists who came up with ways to trans schools. This task force did. And then he issued guidance which is not law. And so this is very, very good news for those states now who either have these existing laws or are going to pass laws, that they will have a strong defense to protect their laws. I want to say one other thing. In Massachusetts and New Jersey, minors cannot have their genitalia pierced, even with parental permission. And why that's important is because leftists are saying parents should be able to decide if their kids are trans. Well, there's many things that parents cannot decide. In Illinois, parents...
You can't tan. What the hell?
Minors cannot get tattoos, even with parental permission here in Illinois. But we will trans children. And the other thing that this, in Clarence Thomas's statement, where he said this case carries a simple lesson in politically contentious debates over matters shrouded in scientific uncertainty, which is true, courts should not assume that self-described experts are correct. This is really important because our professional medical and mental health communities, including the AMA and the AP and the American Academy of Pediatrics, have been wildly politicized. And they come up with their policies. About 50, 60 members of the academies come up with their pro-trans protocols, and then that goes out to the media. It's not run by all the members of the academies. And so we've been trusting these people. It came out just a couple years ago. It was the Vanderbilt University Medical Center.
Yes.
I think it was where it came out where they had video of doctors saying, these surgeries make us a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. It was all about the money. Yep.
Exactly.
Well, a couple things here. First of all, I want to make sure that Rob Hanlon understands that all of the if it saves one child stuff is nonsense, because that's what he said. He literally said that in public comment. That's why we have to have genderqueer on the bookshelves in our public high school, because if it saves one life, then we have to do it. Well, that was completely debunked, so that's a good thing. And I'm going to make sure that, he maybe gets a little email from me. Maybe I'll even go talk to the man. Do you want to reconsider it in light of what's come out in this Tennessee case? We'll see what he says. But the other thing that's really interesting, and Cranes writes about this, Supreme Court ruling on gender care puts more pressure on already strained systems in Illinois. What are the strained systems in Illinois that John Asplund talks about? He talks about the fact that much of the gender-affirming care is done by Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood's having a little bit of a difficult time. It says that the Guttmacher Institute estimates Illinois provided abortion care to an estimated 35,000 out-of-state patients in 2024, accounting for 39% of all abortions in the state, the highest percentage of out-of-state care in the country. So we already are in an attractive spot for Planned Parenthood for out-of-state abortions. An increase in out-of-state traffic for transgender health care could come at a bad time for Planned Parenthood of Illinois. The Reproductive Health Care Organization provides gender-affirming hormone therapy to transgender, non-binary, and gender-expansive people age 16 and up. The organization says it welcomes everyone, regardless of your zip code, and offers to help with travel arrangements to its 13 locations for both Illinois and out-of-state residents. However, Illinois' largest abortion care provider faces a financial shortfall stemming from rising patient volume and growing health care costs, due in part to out-of-state abortion-seeking patients. So, you know what? Good news, bad news, I guess. Now everybody wants to come here for their gender care, but that care may not be available as Planned Parenthood is suffering. In fact, they're closing a few clinics in Illinois, which is, it says here, in January, the provider said it would close 4 Illinois health centers, that's not true, abortion factories in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, Ottawa, Decatur, and Bloomington, and was downsizing its administrative staff.
I mean, what this reveals is the people who are promoting this trans health care, which isn't health care, there is no evidence that this improves the health of people. They don't care about children.
Yeah. Hey, we have a hard break now. Laurie, I want to thank you so much. People can catch her whole writing, her first look at this case at breakthrough-ideas.com. Thanks a lot for being such a great writer and for taking on the cultural issues. I really, really appreciate you. Laurie Higgins. We'll be right back. This is The Real Story.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job, really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560.
The UN weighs in. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. The United Nations Security Council holding an emergency session earlier today on those U.S. strikes against Iran's nuclear site. U.S. Special Envoy to the UN, Dorothy Shea.
The time finally came for the United States, in the defense of its ally and in the defense of our own citizens and interest, to act decisively. The Iranian regime cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Iranian ambassador to the UN, Amir Saeed Iravani, claiming the Islamic Republic's nuclear program is only to produce civilian energy.
It has been exploited as a pretext for aggression and unlawful action that jeopardize the supreme interest of my country.
The ambassador at today's UN Security Council special meeting. Parts of the U.S. bracing and locking down for a dangerous heat wave. Fox's Madison Scarpino in Atlanta.
It is scorching, extremely humid here in Georgia, and we are definitely not alone. Coast to coast, we have seen some of the highest temperatures in years. Over 190 million Americans across 30 states will see temps above 90 degrees, according to Fox Weather. The heat dome is continuing to spread east, and in places like Chicago, Cleveland, and Nashville, temps are going to feel well over 100 degrees because of the high humidity. And the most alarming heat alert the National Weather Center can issue, an extreme heat warning, is currently plaguing several eastern cities. That includes New York City, Boston, Pittsburgh.
And a Tennessee judge today ordering the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from jail while he awaits a federal trial on human smuggling charges, but he is expected to go into the custody of ICE for now as his controversial case plays out. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
An extreme heat warning in effect until midnight Monday night. Overnight going to be clear and very warm with a low 77. Sunny tomorrow, breezy with record-breaking temperatures. Humid with high 98. Mainly clear and warm tomorrow night with low 77. Warm on Tuesday with sun and some clouds with a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 89. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Summer is all about making great memories. Boy, I love getting out on the boat. I admit that one of my little joys in life is to get on a boat and ride around on Tampa Bay. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. Here's a thought. Try Relief Factor. Let's see if we can get you out of pain. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made of natural ingredients. The best part of all, Relief Factor never masks the pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's doing what I do, whether it's kayaking on a lake, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in the hammock with a good book, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer and make some amazing memories, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That number again, 1-800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
You deserve a dedicated financial resource. Meet Michelle Ashute with West Point Financial Group, a MassMutual firm. Michelle builds lifelong relationships, guiding families through legacy strategies, from grandparents down to grandkids. She helps people secure their financial independence. Her tailored approach to savings can help you prepare for college, retirement, or business protection. Michelle's needs-based approach helps you prepare for all of life's biggest moments. Michelle Ashute of West Point Financial Group, helping you earn, learn, and secure your tomorrow. Email Michelle at mshute@financialguide.com. That's MSCHOOT at financialguide.com. Local firms or sales offices of Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company. Mass Mutual, Springfield, Massachusetts 01111-001 and are not subsidiaries of Mass Mutual or its affiliated companies. Michelle Lachute is a registered representative of and offers securities through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC. Supervisory office located at 30 South Wacker Drive, Suite 2700, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560, The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining me tonight on this very eventful weekend. With President Trump bombing the hell out of Iran. Hopefully we were able to decimate their nuclear capability. We don't know that yet. The battle data assessment will still be done. Meanwhile, we've got Illinois politicians running around like he did something that's impeachable, which is ridiculous. Just a bunch of idiots in this state, I got to tell you. And one thing that they're real idiots about is, of course, and they're just lovers of abortion. And that would be our Chicago and Pritzker. I mean, that's Pritzker's big think big. His think big whole campaign, all about abortion. Can you imagine sitting around the dinner table and like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do a think big campaign. Oh, and it's going to be about abortion. Like, that's going to be our sole focus is going to be abortion. Abortion's a think big idea. I mean, it's so alarming. And the reason this is on my mind right now is one, because, Pritzker came out and I already said it in my show about this whole we got to be careful here. I'm talking with law enforcement, make sure there's no threats against us, Illinoisans. Well, hell, you're the one who who is all supportive of Biden's open border policy, where 1,272, according to Tom Homan, Iranians walked across the open border, and we don't know where they are, along with about 2 million other sleeper cells, terrorists, potentially. We're not sure. 2 million gotaways, rather. They're crazy. And then there was this article that just came out. Literally, it came out. I noticed it right before I came on the show. It's Chicago Tribune. New Chicago clinic provides all trimester abortions up to roughly 34 weeks of pregnancy. The article is by Angie Leventis Lorgus. A new Chicago clinic is providing abortions to patients up to roughly 34 weeks into pregnancy. The only standalone clinic in the Midwest to offer often controversial terminations in the third trimester. First of all, I would say it's always controversial. And among only a handful to do so nationwide. Oh, yippee, yippee. There's Illinois, top of the bad boy list. Hope Clinic, I mean, what a terrible name for an abortion clinic. Hope Clinic. There's no hope in that clinic. A longtime abortion provider in Southern Illinois opened a second location in the Uptown neighborhood June 2nd, advertising, quote, all trimester abortions. Wait a minute. I thought we didn't do that in this state. That's what all the liberals said down there. We don't do late-term abortions. No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't do that. The article goes on. Hope Clinic is now open in Chicago, Illinois, expanding our care through all trimesters. And oh my God, we couldn't be more excited. The clinic's Instagram page announced. Everyone deserves access to abortion care whenever they need it, because deciding and acting on what's best for you shouldn't be on anyone else's timeline. These people they're ghouls. They're ghouls. Dr. Aaron King, Hope Clinic Chief Medical Officer. Dr. Aaron King. It's just awful. Well, here to discuss this and some other things that we want to talk about, we want to get to the saintly Sister Rosemary Connolly. Probably going to have to hold over the break to get to that because we're going to talk about this one first. Is Mary Fio Rito. You've heard from her before. She's the Cardinal Francis George Fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. She's a public speaker, attorney, radio show, and podcast host, and she is licensed practice law in the state of Illinois. Mary, thank you so much for being on my show tonight.
Thank you for having me, Jeannie. It's nice to be back with you.
Yes. So, I mean, this is especially concerning. The article comes out with this. And then, I mean, I honestly haven't gotten through all of it. It's very, very lengthy. But I don't even know if they mentioned the latest abortion tragedy, that Champagne butcher who left half of the fetus in the woman who came from Indiana to get an abortion here and then found herself in need of emergency medical surgery to save her life. I mean, you know, they just simply don't seem to care about any standard of care. We're just going to do abortions at 34 weeks.
I mean, it's just so shocking to the conscience, isn't it? I mean, I have 2 children who were born at 34 weeks. You know,
it's not that uncommon.
No. Oh, I mean, my goodness. You look at you go back to 1963, and a couple of months before President Kennedy was assassinated, his youngest son Patrick was born at 34 and a half weeks, and he died from prematurity. His lungs weren't developed enough. To be able to even, and again, he was the son of the President of the United States, and there wasn't medicine that was advanced enough to save him. Now we look, and viability, I mean, I have a nephew who was born at 22 weeks, 0 days here in the Chicago area. He is 8 years old now. So we have seen viability, be pushed back really to about 21 or 22 weeks. So these are not only viable babies, Jeannie, they are viable, pain-capable babies.
But I've listened, I know you probably have, but I have listened to them down in Springfield when they discuss this issue, and they are adamant that we don't do late-term abortions in this state.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, you look at the whole
Yes, we do.
I mean, this is what I was taking screenshots of the websites of abortion clinics in Illinois and sending them to reporters saying, look, they're saying right here, we do elective procedures up to 34 weeks, up to 28 weeks, up to whatever, particular, gestational age this particular clinic will do terminations for. And there's no limit in Illinois. There's no 24-week limit. I know that's what that says, kind of on the books. But here's what your listeners need to understand is that there is a very, very, there is a health exception that is so broad you could drive a Mack truck through it. So the health exception says all factors, physical, psychological, emotional, familial, or the woman's age. So that means if she's 16 and she thinks she's too young, that is a health exception for an abortion after 24 weeks. If she thinks she's 32 and too old, that is a health exception. It's basically whatever the abortion provider decides is necessary for the woman's well-being. I mean, that's right from Doe versus Bolton, which is a Supreme Court case on what constitutes a health exception. So, in a way, Jeannie, it's kind of helpful that the Hope Clinic now feels completely comfortable that they are advertising for abortions up to 34 weeks.
Well, I totally agree with you because, and I do actually appreciate the Chicago Tribune for writing this article and putting all this information and making it lengthy. I mean, they did talk to Eric Scheidler. They did talk to Mary Kate Zander from Illinois Right to Life. They did all that. And they also mentioned the Gallup poll in 2023 found that support for legal abortion drops later in pregnancy. More than 2/3 of Americans said ending a pregnancy should be legal in the first trimester, but only 37% support legal abortions in the second trimester, and less than a quarter or 25% of respondents favored legal terminations in the third trimester. They say less than a quarter, so it's definitely below 25%. So, I mean, people don't agree with abortion that late term, but that is what you are allowed to have in the state of Illinois and taxpayer funded.
Exactly, Jeannie. Not only is it legal in Illinois to abort a baby, pretty much up until the moment of birth. Like, if someone wanted an abortion after 34 weeks, there's no legal reason to keep them from doing that. And Illinois taxpayers are paying for it. And as you mentioned,
poll after poll after poll, and this has been consistent since even before Roe was decided, the vast majority of Americans say, okay, up until maybe 6 weeks, 12 weeks, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm okay with it legally. But definitely into the third trimester where you have a pain-capable, viable child, the vast majority of Americans say absolutely not. This is not who we are as a people. And, you know, I mean, Jeannie, truly, when you think of what a woman needs to go through at that stage in pregnancy to have an abortion, it's a 3-day procedure. Really, it's safer and easier for her to simply deliver her child. And
give it up for adoption.
Well, right, exactly. If she is not able to care for a child, even a child with a disability, you can make an adoption plan through the majority, through Catholic Charities, through Lutheran Social Services, through the vast majority, places that we have here in Illinois will help a woman who's in a situation of distress to say, okay, you have a crisis pregnancy, but what we're going to do here is eliminate the crisis. We're not going to eliminate the child, right? So you can it's a very, very simple procedure to be able to deliver a woman at that age, but at that gestational age rather, but when she is having an abortion at 34 weeks, you have to forcibly dilate the cervix. It takes 3 days.
Well, I mean, I just want to, I like to go back to stories that we've covered previously and kind of give updates to that too. And I don't know if we have an update or not because I don't know where the case stands. Maybe you're keeping track of this. I've kind of lost track of it. But if I want to remind people that the Champaign abortionist, Dr. Keith Reisinger Kindle, remember he opened up Equity Clinic. He came from Ohio to do this because of our favorable abortion laws, said I can make money right outside Champaign-Urbana, University of Illinois, and sure enough, and then also close to Indiana. So this mother walks in, she's 22 weeks pregnant. It's a 2-day procedure, and she ends up, she's suing him right now because she ends up, having to go to the emergency room in Indiana, and they find half the fetus in her. And I mean, and this is dangerous stuff. This is not first trimester abortions. This can be extremely dangerous. And we have lax laws on whether or not abortions, medical abortionists have admitting procedures to hospitals. They don't have to have that. Whether or not they're inspected. We don't have regular inspections of abortion clinics. We don't even call a coroner if a woman dies in the event of an abortion at an abortion clinic. This is the Wild West out here in the state of Illinois. I don't know. I haven't been following that case. Do you know if anything's been done further in that?
Yeah, so that's and thank you for mentioning that, Jeannie. That's a particularly horrific case where there was a woman from the Indianapolis area who thought she was maybe 21 weeks pregnant, who went to this Equity Clinic in Champaign, Illinois, where Dr. Reisinger Kindle, kind of specializes in later abortions. Particularly like for women of color. And she went to this clinic and the next day began experiencing extreme abdominal pain. She called him. He told her to take a laxative. She called him again the next day. He told her to take Advil. And then finally she wound up having to go to the emergency room in Indianapolis where the surgeon on call found, not even half, but 2/3 of the remains of her unborn child, who was probably at about 23 weeks gestation, and they can tell that because most of the baby's body was still there. The legs had been torn off, but the baby's entire torso, the baby's arms from the elbow down were still there. Parts of the baby's skull had adhered to her small intestine. So essentially what Dr. Reisinger Kindle did was to perforate her uterus to pull off some of the baby's, extremities, and then somehow missed the rest of the baby's body, and it was found in her abdominal cavity. And had she not gone to the emergency room when she did, she very likely would have died. She was on the verge of being septic. Her, from what I understand from reading the lawsuit documents, she was already, there was an infection that was building up in her system, which you can, of course, entirely, understand happening. And this guy is practicing abortion in Illinois. Now, I understand from a source that he was reported to, because anytime any doctor sees somebody come into an emergency room. You just take the issue of abortion off the table and just pretend this is any other kind of surgery.
Right.
You as a doctor have a moral obligation and an ethical obligation, as I would as an attorney, right, to report malpractice when you see it. Like if it's really gross malpractice, you just can't say, oh gosh, this guy must have had a bad day and left 2/3 of a baby inside this woman. You have to report it because that is so beyond. I mean, even other abortion providers, my understanding is, who looked at this case said, nobody does this. You cannot miss 2/3 of a baby's body at this stage, and it's just so horrific. You can't even kind of wrap your mind around it. But my understanding is that the Illinois licensing and registration for, the licensing agency for Illinois physicians has actually reprimanded him and fined him and ordered him to go to, I think it's 20 hours of continuing medical education classes. So in Illinois, where we're basically
he should have his license stripped.
Well, he should. This man, again, you just take the issue of whether or not abortion should be legal or not in Illinois off the table. This is not somebody you would want to entrust your daughter to or your wife to or your sister to. This is not a man who should be practicing medicine. He left 2/3 of that baby inside that woman's abdomen and put her in a car and sent her back to Indiana, knowing full well he had not retrieved all of the fetal remains. You cannot miss that.
Well, and also that's part of the case too. I mean, he basically lied saying that he had to her, saying that he did have all the remains when she called back early. Hey, listen, we're going to take a quick break because I want to get to our second story that we want to talk to you, and that's the saintly. We're going to turn this whole conversation around positive. We're going to talk about Rosemary Connolly, Sister Rosemary Connolly, following this break. Don't move the dial. Just stay with us.
Home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Where's America 60 years after the Civil Rights Act? Has equality of opportunity become a race hustle instead? As the culture wars play out in our schools, has the civil rights battleground shifted? In Illinois, inherently racist programs, scholarships, and comments are being challenged for violating the Civil Rights Act. How do we get to a post-racial America? Breakthrough Ideas is bringing great Americans together to help answer those questions. Join C.L. Bryant, award-winning filmmaker of Runaway Slave and Trump Advisory Board member, Black and White radio host John Anthony, and rooftop pastor Corey Brooks, founder of Project Hood, on Thursday, June 26th for the Breakthrough Ideas annual dinner. Join the conversation and buy a ticket to our annual dinner to support our work. At Breakthrough Ideas, we're unafraid to expose the lies and corruption of the ruling class in Illinois. We're here to inform voters and protect liberty. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com. Click on the events page to buy a ticket today. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Everybody seems to be more health conscious these days, worrying about their weight, what they eat, what they put into their bodies. And if you're in pain, taking pills to mask the pain is not the answer. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. Please listen up. There is hope to end your chronic pain due to arthritis or an injury, and that's QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is different. These are not quick fixes. This is a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. You will meet Medical Director Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team. They'll explain how their regenerative treatments take your own body's healing power and helps restore damaged tissue. So say goodbye to chronic pain and live your best life. Find out if you're a candidate. The consultation is free with appointments on weekdays and Saturdays. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility, Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
For centuries, gold and silver have protected wealth through war, recession, inflation, and economic upheaval. At Advantage Gold, we specialize in helping you move your IRA or eligible 401k into physical gold or silver, tax-free and penalty-free. When you call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000, for a limited time, you could receive up to $10,000 in precious metals when you open your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. Well, a very special person died just recently, actually just a couple days ago. It's Sister Rosemary Connolly. I want to play this clip real quick, just part of it.
We have learned today that a Chicago icon has passed away. Sister Rosemary Connolly, the founder of Misericordia, has died at the age of 94. And she built a one-of-a-kind community for those who have disabilities. And she was a fundraising force to keep Misericordia thriving. Marianne Ahern looks back on Sister Rosemary's life.
And you didn't talk or you didn't walk?
No, I didn't walk or talk at all.
No, and now he can't stop.
If you ever met Sister Rosemary Connolly, you probably laughed, prayed, and might have been a bit afraid.
She grabbed me by the arm, looked me in the eye, and said, "Ram, God is watching you."
When then Mayor Rahm Emanuel began charging nonprofits for water, including Misericordia, Sister Rosemary did not hold back.
Every time I met Ron in public, he told me he was afraid of me. In spite of his fear, he's going to charge Misericordia for water, which will add to our projected $13 million deficit.
As a member of the Sisters of Mercy, Sister Rosemary was a Chicago native. Early on in her career as a social worker, she focused on rebuilding a home for those with intellectual and physical disabilities.
I called universities and I called hospitals and I asked for help because I knew that they deserved programs.
She took over the abandoned campus of the former Angel Guardian Orphanage on the city's north side and watched it grow to care for more than 600 children and adults. There's a waiting list of 400.
Okay, that's Sister Rosemary Connolly. So, Mary Fio Rito, you are familiar with her and her work. I am too. I've been there a couple different times to visit Misericordia. There is no place like it. It is one of the most, beautiful places that I have ever been to. That they really care for the disability community, and they are the pinnacle of standards when it comes to taking care of them.
Yeah, and people throw around the word, saint. Oh, she was a saint. If Sister Rosemary did not go straight to heaven, Jeannie, you and I do not stand a chance of going. Honestly. There was nobody who saw God, who saw Jesus in every one of those people with disabilities that she cared for. And you know what, that beautiful clip you just played of her telling Rahm Emanuel, God is watching you. She didn't care. If you were hurting one of her residents that she was trying to care for, God help you, because she did not care if you were the mayor of the city of Chicago or the president of the United States. She was something because she knew, and again, and it's so interesting because here you have this beautiful Catholic nun, and I had a friend who was telling me that he was at a luncheon with Pat Quinn, former Governor Pat Quinn, and Sister Rosemary, and this particular person did not like Pat Quinn because he was so pro-abortion, right, as many Democrats are, and Mr. Quinn got up to use the restroom or something during the meeting, and Sister Rosemary said, "Well, what do you think of him?" And my friend said, I have a lot of issues with him, sister, because he supports abortion." So Pat Quinn came back and sat down. She's like, "Pat, do you think abortion is a good thing? What is wrong with you?" I guess she kind of lit into him. And he was like, poor Pat Quinn. She said Pat Quinn was like cowering by the time Sister was done with him. But, everything that she did because she saw Christ in these beautiful people who have an extra chromosome or a disability or whatever it was. She said, no, they don't just deserve to have a good life. They deserve to have a good life with meaning and with purpose and with love. And so that's why you have like David Axelrod put his disabled daughter at Misericordia. So did Carol Maureen. So all of these people who are sort of left-leaning, when it came down to it, they went to probably the most pro-life organization in the state of Illinois, Jeannie, and that's Misericordia.
So Misericordia is an is institutional care, and there's been a real sort of people don't like institutional care. They want to all do these stills, but I'm telling you, Misericordia is unique. It does it correctly. Now, I've been to other state-run facilities that are institutional care where we're spending $200,000 per patient with unionized workforce and all the other requirements, and you can go to Misericordia and you get the best of the best care, facilities, grounds, you name it. And it costs a fraction of it. And I did the math one time. I think it was like $55,000 for a Misericordia person for state-run care. And it's $200,000 at our state-run facilities that are in terrible shape. Terrible shape. They've been ignored and neglected by the very Democrats who put their own children in Misericordia. And I'm pissed about it, honestly. Yeah. I have a hard time talking about this rationally. Hey, I just wanted to get this in, but you know, we've got to go. I've got a hard break, Mary Fio Rito. And we'll be back soon to talk about this more because this is a very important issue to me, the disability community, and we need to do better in the state of Illinois. And God bless Sister Rosemary Connolly.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
News, I'm Daria Albinger. A day after the U.S. attacked 3 Iranian nuclear targets, the UN Security Council met in secret session to discuss next steps.
It was a necessary act and a brave decision to remove the greatest threat to global security.
It's Israeli envoy to the UN, Danny Danon. The Iran envoy to the UN says all U.S. allegations against that country have been unfounded with no legal basis and are politically motivated. Some say President Trump overstepped his authority in calling for the attacks. Virginia Senator Tim Kaine tells Fox News he's pushing forward with a resolution.
It's clear that there is no congressional authorization for Trump's war against Iran.
President Trump called the mission a success and warns Iran the U.S. will attack again if Iran will not talk peace. America's listening to Fox News.
It's Reveille. We live in a dangerous and revolutionary time as Israel attacks Iran to prevent the Death to America regime from producing a nuclear weapon. As many Iranians hope that the Israeli attacks bring regime change from a dictatorship. And as America celebrated both Flag Day and the 250th birthday of the United States Army, a swath of Americans chose to instead organize, promote, and attend No King's Day protests aligned with organizations funded by the CCP. They ignored on that day that the true tyrants live in places like Gaza, run by Hamas, China with its slave labor, and Iran with its radical Islamist leaders. They ignored, of course, that America hasn't been led by a king since the American Army's founding in 1775, and that it was created to actually remove King George from our land. At the military parade, our service members proudly flew our flag and celebrated our army that freed us from that kingship. At the No Kings March, protesters raised flags of foreign countries that illegal aliens fled and don't want to go back to, countries where lawlessness reigns, women and children are second-class citizens, poverty is the norm, and opportunity non-existent. They wanted a day of defiance. Patriots wanted a day of honor and respect. They came out in anger and protest with ugly signs and grim chants. We paraded with the stars and stripes and God Bless the USA blasting from the speakers. A day Americans set aside to celebrate our symbol of freedom while our servicemen and women stand ready across the world to defend our flag and our Constitution, they used to support lawlessness, open borders, and pro-Hamas terrorist organizations. There's a contrast in America, but their angry and ugly mobs won't win. Like our forefathers did, we won't give in and we'll never give up. We will not squander the good life we were given. We'll fight at the ballot box so our children and grandchildren will enjoy the blessings of liberty.
I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. on this station and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
We couldn't decide if we needed in-home care for Dad.
Right. Just some help here and there with bathing, organizing his meds, a walk through the neighborhood.
Oh, exactly. But everywhere we looked, we had a 4-hour minimum. It was more care than he needed, and it didn't make sense to spend extra for it.
Then we found Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. No minimum hours. We were shocked.
Now a caregiver stops by once or twice a week for just an hour or two to help with the small things that make a big difference.
And Mom loves the visits. It's not just help, it's companionship.
At Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, we understand that not every family needs round-the-clock care. We serve DuPage, Cook, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. We conduct free in-home assessments and we guarantee compatibility. Call Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest today at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Chicagoland traffic. The Ike, the Stevenson, the dreaded 294. You sitting in traffic is not time well spent. Time is money.
Oh, come on, man. What's the slowdown for?
Especially when you're trying to do your own company deliveries.
What is happening up there? I got things to deliver.
But instead of sitting there getting more and more frustrated,
Please, can we go any slower?
you could be back at the shop getting work done.
I should have stayed at work and actually worked.
Get quick delivery service to battle the traffic for you. They'll make your deliveries while you get other things done. Quick delivery service makes it easy. No forms, no labels, no scanning. They'll deliver large pallets of materials to important documents. Simply tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going. They'll pick it up and get it to your destination quickly. Plus, your deliveries are tracked with real-time GPS notifications. Visit quickdelivery.com and stay out of traffic.
Oh no, this exit's closed?
Call now for a free quote. 847-534-2244 or go to quickdelivery.com.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining me tonight. It's been such an incredible weekend. Wow. Operation Midnight Hammer. Biggest ever attack by B-2 Spirit stealth bombers and the longest flight the aircraft has made since 2001. I'm reading from a New York Post article. It marked the first time that the U.S. used the massive 15-ton GBU-57 bunker buster bombs in combat, dropping 14 of them on Iran's nuclear enrichment sites. The highly coordinated strike took Tehran by utter surprise Saturday night, with the terrorist state not launching any attacks at incoming American military personnel, according to Chief of the Joint Staff, General Dan Kane. We're currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in, he said during a press conference with Hegseth. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air systems did not see us throughout the mission. We retained the element of surprise. Operation Midnight Hammer targeted 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities. The 25-minute operation inside Iran began at 6:40 p.m. with a lead American B-2 bomber dropping 2 bunker buster munitions on the first of several aim points at Fordo, Kane said. The remaining bombers then hit their targets. It was a complete success. And so it's really important to play this casting clip again, and then I want a little response from the Watchdogs.
Congress was left in the dark on this. It is not at all clear that there was an imminent threat to the United States. But if what happened was Netanyahu just played Trump like a fine violin, that would be consistent with the sequence we've seen. And I'm not saying I know that. I'm saying that if we as Congress don't say we need to get to the bottom of what happened, why did this happen, what was the sequence, was there an imminent threat, and those of us who are not 79 years old, like the president is, are going to potentially be left cleaning up a massive mess from destabilizing the Middle East.
Oh, yeah. And then he poses this question.
If they had the information that justified this strike, why didn't they read Congress in beforehand?
Well, I think we know why. Because the OPSEC was unbelievable. Everything was being run from the White House, not even the Pentagon, according to Jennifer Griffin. I played that clip earlier. She said the OPSEC was like nothing she had seen before in her 18 years of reporting of this. So I wanted to bring in not just the Watchdogs, they're also former military. And Kirk and John, just kind of your response to everything that's happened over there. I know, John, you were stationed in the Mideast a number of times, Saudi Arabia for sure, Jordan, I think you had said. And, I just think that this is phenomenal. The operational security, which we always were taught about and trained for, actually happened in this particular operation. How about Kirk, why don't you go first? Tell me what you think.
Well, Ed, thanks for having us, Jeannie. And as you said, we get trained on that from day one. Mm-hmm. But ironically, part of that training also included things called the War Powers Resolution. And I think some of these people have forgotten that the president's only required to notify Congress within 48 hours of deploying troops and to terminate the deployment after 60 days unless Congress authorizes the action. Do any of these political figures understand any of our laws?
Well, that's why another reason that I wanted to pull you into this conversation, because you have a number of Democrats, calling this an impeachable offense. Sean Casten called it an impeachable offense just spouted off without knowing the law. And you see this all the time. Here is a much bigger, impactful example of politicians saying stuff they have no idea what the law says.
Yeah, it's really amazing to hear him cry, "Oh, we need to impeach him. We need to impeach him." This entire Trump derangement syndrome is beyond comprehension for me. The law is crystal clear. It appears on this very surface. Just read it. These people aren't reading the laws. They're working off of emotion, and it's really sad, and I think it's dangerous for the country.
Oh, I think it's very dangerous. John, what's your initial reaction to everything that took place yesterday?
Well, I would have called it Operation Midnight Sledgehammer, and I think it stabilizes the Middle East more than what it has been in the recent past.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. That's a really good point. It does. I mean, Iran's on its heels. And in fact, I just was glancing at some news as I was waiting for you to come on, and it looks like Trump is now saying, "Hey, I'm okay with regime change. If the current regime doesn't want to deal with us, then maybe it's time for regime change, and certainly the people can kick them out." So, all right. Well, gosh, never a dull moment in the world, and certainly not in Illinois. So I know you guys had some really good stories teed up. John, do you want to start? How about this? Oh, because this is close to home. Kankakee County's state's attorney sued 3 office holders to remove them from office. What is that about?
That is a state's attorney that's doing his job.
That's awesome.
Too often we hear state's attorneys claim, "Oh, I can't file suit against a county board member because I represent him." That's false. They absolutely can, and this one did. A county board member, an older woman in Kankakee, and alderman in Moments, or however you pronounce it. Mm-hmm. They failed to file their statements of economic interest. It's a required form that has to be filed by May the 1st of every year. I mean, it's not optional. It's required.
That's right.
Thankfully, the county clerk took the county clerk's obligation seriously and notified everybody that didn't file several times that they need to file. And if they don't file by May 15 when they're notified that they're late, it's a $15 late fee. And then starting May 15 forwards, it's $100 per day until they file or removed from office. So you're talking May, June. That's 30 days. That's $3,000 right there if the guy wants to stay in office.
Otherwise, their option is to just resign?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
The court will remove them from office. I have no doubt that they will be removed from office, provided the county clerk did what they were supposed to do. And the state attorney said the county clerk absolutely did what they were supposed to do.
Well, that is fantastic.
Yeah,
oh, gosh.
we tried.
I got to share that story. That's great.
We come across this all the time, and state's attorneys never do anything, and the county clerks generally don't follow up on their duties to notify people that don't file that they have to file.
Okay, so did you want to talk about your other story too with Oswego? Real quick?
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have left, but
we have time.
Oswego Township.
Okay.
Last fall, they passed a compensation setting ordinance, and it clearly said that the township supervisor would not be eligible for IMRF.
Okay.
And now comes a new township supervisor in June and passes an ordinance that says the township supervisor qualifies for IMRF. Well, I'm sorry. The compensation has to be set at least 180 days before they take office. And in the case of this township, it's specifically stated in the previous ordinance that the supervisor did not qualify.
So township supervisor is a part-time job. And IMRF, for people who are listening, is a pension plan paid by the taxpayers. Nobody, no part-time politician should have a pension on the taxpayers' dime anyway, period.
And it's part of compensation. It's included in compensation. The Code of Civil Procedure includes it in compensation. They include, the money, the remuneration, the overtime, vacation, deferred compensation, sick pay, disability pay, medical, dental, health benefits, retirement benefits, and then the other payer benefits. So it's anything that is included.
So what would be interesting is whether or not this supervisor ran for election saying that they were not going to take a pension, and then came back and tried to pass an ordinance or a resolution saying that they can get it.
Well, the township road commissioner's on the ball. He filed a letter with the Kendall County State's Attorney, who I really don't have any confidence in. Since the Grundy Kendall Regional Office of Education is partly in Kendall County, but he may surprise me. I'd be happy if he did surprise me, but he should take.
Maybe I need to find out who that is and send him a message. I know some Republicans over in Kendall County. I don't even know if the guy's a Republican or Democrat, but I mean, maybe they can get him to do something.
Eric Weiss.
I don't know the name off the top of my head.
But something needs to happen.
Absolutely.
I don't think the new ordinance is legal or pass muster, especially since the previous ordinance specifically said he did not qualify.
Very interesting. Well, I know somebody who might live in Oswego Township. We'll see if we can get somebody on that. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Kirk Allen. Don't go away. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Who's watching me? For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago immune support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
This news alert is brought to you by Secure Controls Incorporated. With no signs of retail theft slowing down, organized retail crime now impacts the overall economy with losses trending toward over $150 billion by 2026. It's important now more than ever to send a message to thieves. If you're a VP or Director of Loss Prevention or Asset Protection, you already are aware of these alarming statistics. How can you protect your inventory and get back to rising profitability? It only takes one click to secure.com. That's SE-KURE.com. With active anti-theft security solutions and products from Secure Controls, vehicles, you're assured state-of-the-art protection of your merchandise. Secure will keep thieves second-guessing and provide peace of mind to your employees. Check out our products manufactured in the USA. From electronic sensors and alarms to mechanical and clothing security to customized solutions, we're the original inventors of anti-shoplifting products. Request our product catalog today at secure.com, se-kure.com, or call 800-250-9265.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads. Now's the time to see and feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at valdecas.com.
Ask about their exclusive manufacturer warranties and their 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
Where's America 60 years after the Civil Rights Act? Has equality of opportunity become a race hustle instead? As the culture wars play out in our schools, has the civil rights battleground shifted? In Illinois, inherently racist programs, scholarships, and comments are being challenged for violating the Civil Rights Act. How do we get to a post-racial America? Breakthrough Ideas is bringing great Americans together to help answer those questions. Join C.L. Bryant, award-winning filmmaker of Runaway Slave and Trump Advisory Board member, Black and White radio host John Anthony, and rooftop pastor Corey Brooks, founder of Project Hood, on Thursday, June 26th for the Breakthrough Ideas annual dinner. Join the conversation and buy a ticket to our annual dinner to support our work. At Breakthrough Ideas, we're unafraid to expose the lies and corruption of the ruling class in Illinois. We're here to inform voters and protect liberty. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com. Click on the events page to buy a ticket today. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Well, George found another one. There's Tammy Duckworth. Trump bombing Iran was illegal and unjustified. I ran for Congress to make sure our leaders consider the true costs of war. And I'll be in the Senate standing on my titanium legs demanding answers from Trump. Oh, good grief. I mean, jeepers, you cannot make that up.
The people who are responsible for writing the laws can't seem to read them.
No, it's just... Okay, well, there you go. There's another one. We'll continue to out as many of them we can because these are ignoramuses that don't understand the War Powers Act. And they happen to live mostly in Illinois, which is really sad. Okay, but let's get to Kirk Allen. Kirk, you have, Shelby County again. You got another story from Shelby County?
Yeah, but before I do, I've got two things I got to touch on
Sure.
John's segment that you guys just covered.
Okay.
I'm going to make a prediction that those three officials, when the court removes them from office, it creates a vacancy, correct?
Yes.
Then that very public body gets to appoint to fill the vacancy. Any bets on whether they appoint them back to the office they just got removed from?
I will not take that bet. I would lose it.
I'm making a prediction, at least one, and I think the county board, just because we've seen some of the things that county board has done, I think the county board is going to reappoint that individual, and I hope I'm wrong, but it won't be the first time we've seen such craziness.
Well, it's a paid position.
Right.
So I'm sure that they want to keep it.
The second issue, on the Oswego Township,
Yes.
the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund for townships, the electors have to authorize the supervisor to file an application for the township. My understanding from our sources, the electors have never authorized IMRF in that township. So that may be a much bigger story if prior folks were getting IMRF. So we've still got some follow-up on that. But that could be really, really interesting because we found places that have IMRF in townships, and it was never authorized by the electors. And IMRF doesn't care. They're like, well, that's not our problem. That's a township problem.
No. And these elected officials don't care to follow the law, even when they're confronted with it. And the voters are like, I've got 20 lines on my property taxes. How can I keep track of all these entities? It's pathetic. This state is so corrupt.
I tell you, if we want to talk about a change in the law,
okay,
I think we might have to look at one that forces the actual tax bill for mortgage holders to go to, those people need to be seeing it versus having it buried in their mortgage payment. Because when they don't see it, yeah, they get an increase in their mortgage payment, but they don't understand why. They just blame it on the bank. They need to see the tax bill.
Right. There's nothing like having to write that check twice a year to make you realize how much you're spending with your local government. Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think we still have time to cover your Shelby County article if you want to.
This is another case of a Shelby County inmate in the county jail having medical issues for what I understand in the complaint at least 2 months. And not a single test was done to identify what his problems were until he finally had to be taken out and taken to the emergency room, where they ran tests and identified an abdominal infection. That individual sued, and presto, within a week of the last settlement, this case got settled and has now been dismissed. So
was this under the same deputies that were not certified?
Yes, and I'm still waiting on those depositions. The state's attorney has punted me until we have agreed to June 30th to get the rest of the depositions, because she said there's just too much to go through there for redactions. Mm-hmm. I don't know what redactions she needs to really worry about, because from what I understand, the depositions don't really contain protected information like that. But all that aside, as I started looking back through this and looking at some of our notes, this same individual had contacted us and begged us, basically, would you not write about my case, because now that I'm out of DOC, I fear retaliation from these people, which is not uncommon.
So he lives in the area and he thinks they're going to just kind of be looking for him?
Yeah, because we wrote about it. Mm-hmm. He believes it's going to be retaliatory.
Mm. And do you know how much the settlement was? How much more did taxpayers have to hand out for officials who didn't do their job?
We don't have a number yet. We have to submit that FOIA, and the state's attorney is going to have to get it from the medical provider. And amazingly, it's still the same medical provider in Shelby County, ACH. At some point, when do you cut your losses and find a new provider that doesn't create this kind of situation? Or better yet, maybe we need a hard look at what's going on within the corrections office and start holding individuals accountable.
And do you know whether or not they're insurable at all, or did they just have to pay like a super high premium now against lawsuits?
Well, they're still insured right now.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still insured right now, but my understanding, come September, they may not be. Their carrier may be dropping them.
Well, of course.
If that happens, they're going to be in a real pickle, because with all these lawsuits that they've got, the ones they've settled, I mean, John's got a lawsuit against them in federal court. I've got real quick, I've got a FOIA case that we brought against them May of last year. This is how broke the judicial system is. The county still does not have representation in our case. They tried to appoint the attorney general. The attorney general did a motion to vacate the judge's order because the judge's order didn't even follow state law. And the order had to be vacated. The order was vacated. So they're back to square one, trying to find another state's attorney to represent the county in my simple FOIA case. Why not just turn over the records?
What is going on?
It's nuts
terrible.
Down there. I'm telling you, the things that go on there literally will be 1 or 2 chapters in the book.
All right. Can't wait for that. Plus, we're going to have a longer discussion with Watchdogs that'll air on our July 6th holiday time. But I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks a lot, John and Kirk, for joining me tonight. Really appreciate it. And before we go, I just want to remind people we are going to stop sales of our tickets to our annual dinner. It's June 26th, this coming Thursday. It's a great program. We've got terrific Americans talking about whether or not the Civil Rights Act has become a race hustle. So we've got C.L. Bryant, Pastor Corey Brooks, and AM 560's own John Anthony coming in for a panel discussion about that topic. You can get tickets at our breakthrough-ideas.com website. It's going to be great food and even better company and conversation. So join us if you can. Thanks a lot for joining me tonight. This is Jeannie Ives signing off for The Real Story.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app. Or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
What a difference a day makes. I'm Daria Albinger, Fox News. A day after the U.S. attacked 3 Iranian nuclear sites, we're learning more about the planning that went into what's now known as Operation Midnight Hammer. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon.
Operation Midnight Hammer launched early Saturday morning. 9 B-2 stealth bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, but 2 acted as decoys, flying west over the Pacific for all to see and a scheduled refueling in the skies near Hawaii with a follow-on flight